You're finally ready to move. You have outgrown your current HDB flat, or maybe it just doesn't fit your lifestyle anymore. Whether you're upgrading or downsizing or transitioning into a BTO, there's one question that haunts every Singaporean homeowners making this move. How do you go from one HDB flat to another without having to rent in between? Because let's be real, renting just for a few months isn't just expensive, it's destructive. It means moving twice, paying double for movers, storing your stuff in the meantime, and moving in a space that's temporary, uncomfortable, unfamiliar. And yet that's exactly what thousands of families think they have to do. But here's the thing, they don't. There's a process, a strategy, a system that can help you transition from your current HDB flat straight into your next one. Sounds too good to be true? It isn't, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how this smooth HDB to HDB transition works, step by step. Now, I'm not just someone repeating what's written on the HDB website. I've helped dozens of families make this move without spending a single day in temporary rental. One family I worked with saved over $8,000 in rent and moving costs alone by timing their sale and purchase correctly. Another couple transitioned from a 4-room flat in Bukit Batok to a newly completed BTO in Tengah without touching their CPF savings. They didn't borrow, they didn't stress, they didn't rush, and you won't need to either if you understand how the process works. This is a system that works and is built into HDB's own policies. So let's talk about why this even matters. The stress of having to move twice, especially with children or elderly parents, can be overwhelming, and financially, the cost adds up fast. Rent in Singapore isn't cheap, neither are moving services or short-term storage units. Most people don't even realize how much they are overspending until they are knee-deep in boxes, contracts, and delays. But what if you didn't have to go through that? What if you could time your move perfectly, selling your current flat and collecting the keys to your new one without ever needing to rent? That's what we are here to talk about. This video is going to cover everything you need to know to make that happen. We will start with the 3 most common scenarios where a smooth transition is possible. Then I will walk you through the key HDB schemes that make this move doable. Schemes most people overlook entirely. We will go into the strategy, paperwork, timeline, and even a few insider tips that can mean the difference between success and months of unnecessary stress. Alright, let's get into the first big concept you need to understand. HDB does not expect you to move out with nowhere to go. There are official policies designed to help you with this, and 2 of the most important ones are the Contra Facilities and the temporary extension of stay. Let's start with the Contra Facility. This is one of the most powerful yet most underutilized tools that HDB provides. The Contra Facility allows you to use the proceeds from the sale of your existing flat, including your refunded CPF, directly for the purchase of your next flat. That means you don't need to fork out a massive cash sum or take on a bridging loan. It also means that HDB will help align your sale and purchase timelines since both are happening under their administration. But here's the catch. You need to apply for the Contra Facility early. Not during the sale, not after the sale, early. And this only works if both flats, your current one and the next one, are HDB flats. If you are buying private property, this doesn't apply. So for most Singaporeans planning to move from HDB to HDB, this is your golden ticket. Now let's talk about the temporary extension of stay. This policy allows you to stay in your existing flat for up to 3 months after the sale is completed. Why is this important? Because most people think they need to vacate the moment the sale is done. Not true. As long as the buyer agrees and that agreement is written into the option to purchase, HDB allows you to legally extend your stay. That means you can sell your flat now, collect your cash and CPF proceeds, and then remain in your home until the keys to your next flats are ready. But again, timing and paperwork are everything. The agreement for temporary extension must be included during the negotiation phase, before the option to purchase is signed. If you try to add it later, you are out of luck. So what do you do? When listing your flat for sale, make it clear upfront that you are requesting a temporary extension. That way, only buyers who are okay with the arrangement will proceed. It's also helpful to work with a seasoned agent who can navigate this with you. Someone who understands not just the technical paperwork, but the flow of timing, negotiation, and buyer's psychology. Let's pause for a second. So far, we have covered 2 key HDB schemes, the Contra Facilities and temporary extension of stay. Used together, they allow you to sell your flat, stay in it temporarily, and buy your next one with proceeds from your sale, all without ever needing to rent. But we are not done. There's a third piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked: timing. And that's where most people mess up. They assume things will just work out. But moving smoothly requires precision, not hope. So here's what you need to do. Plan backwards from your new flat's keys collection date. Let's say you're expecting to collect the keys to your BTO in December. You want to complete the sale of your current flat at least 2 to 3 months before that. So around September, while securing a temporary extension of stay that lasts through December. That way, you complete your sale in September, stay in the same flat through the extension period, and collect your new keys in December without ever being homeless. Now, if you're buying a resale HDB instead of a BTO, you have more flexibility, but the planning is still the same. Align the completion date of your new purchase with the end of your temporary extension. Make sure your agent is aware of your move-in requirements and plan accordingly. There's one more thing you should know, and this is where the experience of a professional makes a huge difference. HDB timelines are tight, and once key dates are set, changing them is difficult. That means the earlier you start this planning process, the better. So if you haven't started marketing your current flat yet, but you already have a BTO collection date, now is the time to get moving. Every week matters. Now, let me tell you a story about Elaine. Elaine was a mother of 2 teenagers. She had lived in her 4-room HDB in Woodlands for over 12 years and had just received news that her new BTO flat in Sengkang was ready for key collection. The excitement was real, but so was the panic. Her current flat hadn't sold yet, and she couldn't afford to pay for both the new flat and a temporary rental while waiting to sell. Her first instinct was to take out a loan or try to crash at her sister's place, but after one consultation, I completely changed her trajectory. I got her listing up quickly and set clear expectations with buyers. Any offer must include a temporary extension of stay for 3 months. This way, I ensured that she would have enough time to move once her BTO was ready. Then, I applied for the Contra Facility so she could use the sales proceeds and refunded CPF to cover most of her cost of a new flat. And just like that, problem solved. Her buyer agreed to the extension. The transaction's timelines were aligned. She sold in May, stayed through July, collected her new keys in early August, and moved within the weekends. No second move, no extra costs, no rental nightmares. This isn't a one-off story. This kind of smooth transition is more common than you think once you know what you are doing. Now, let's talk about the traps people fall into, because there are a few key mistakes that can derail your plans completely. The first big mistake, selling without securing a new place. If you sell your current HDB flat and haven't even started your purchase process, you are risking homelessness. That sounds dramatic, but is real. Completion dates are legally binding. Once your buyer exercises the option to purchase and set the date, you have to move out by then. Unless, of course, you have arranged a temporary extension ahead of time. So never assume you can sort things out later. HDB doesn't work like that. Buyers have rights, and if the clause wasn't included at the beginning, they are under no obligation to let you stay. Second mistake, not working with someone who understands the coordination needed between both sides of the transactions. Most people assume that selling and buying are 2 separate processes, but in a smooth transition, they are one. Your timeline for selling must complement your timeline for buying. That means your sale completion date needs to be either A, end with a temporary extension that leads into a new key collection date, or B, be close enough to your new flat's key collection that a direct move is possible. Either way, both timelines need to be managed in parallel. This is where professional help becomes a necessity, not a luxury. Now, let's dive deeper into how HDB supports you in this process, because one of the best kept secrets is this. HDB can help you delay or adjust key collection dates within reasons. If you're moving into a BTO and your sale isn't completed yet, you can request to push back your key collection slightly. But this isn't automatic. You need to apply with valid reasons, and timing is critical. Similarly, if you have purchased a resale flat and the seller is agreeable, you can coordinate so that both your purchase and your sale align perfectly, allowing you to move from one HDB to another without overlap or rental. One important detail here, always ensures both sides of lawyers or agents are in sync. The buyers of your old flat, the seller of your new flat, and both sides' legal teams need to be on the same page about dates and contract terms. Let's take a moment to recap what we have covered so far. If you want to transition smoothly from one HDB to another without renting in between, you need to follow these 3 critical steps. First, apply for a Contra Facility early if you are using the sales proceeds for your new flat. This streamlines the process and reduces your upfront financial burden. Second, Lock in a temporary extension of stay when negotiating the sale of your current flat. Make this clear from the beginning and include it in the option to purchase. And third, align your sale and purchase timeline. Start with your new flat's key collection date and work backwards. If needed, negotiate longer completion periods or request minor date adjustment from HDBs. And finally, communicate. Keep everyone in the loop. Your agent, your buyers, your sellers, and your legal representatives must all understand your timing needs. There's one more story I want to share with you, because it really brings home the importance of proper planning. Meet Raj and Priya. They were upgrading from a 3-room flat in Toa Payoh to a resale 5-room unit in Pasir Ris. Their Toa Payoh flat sold quickly, too quickly actually. They hadn't secured the Pasir Ris unit yet, and their buyers weren't keen on a temporary extension. By the time they found the right place to buy, they had only 4 weeks left before handing over their old flat. No amount of rushing could align the purchase in time, so they had to move in with Raj's parents, cram all their furniture into storage, and pay nearly 2,500 in moving and temporary storage fees. Now, let's contrast with Elaine's story. The difference? Planning. That's the power of what you are learning here. But knowledge isn't enough. Action is what makes this thing work. You got to start early. You got to talk to the right people. And you got to move decisively, because the window to make this a smooth transition closes fast once your transactions gets underway. Now, let's look at what you can do today and set yourself up for success. First, if you're planning to sell your HDB flat within the next 6 months, talk to an agent about listing it with a temporary extension clause already built in. That way, you're only dealing with buyers who understand your timeline. Second, if you are buying a resale HDB, ask your agent to find sellers who can accommodate a specific completion window that works with your sale. You don't want to be chasing keys while your storage unit fills up. And third, if you are collecting keys for a BTO, request a collection timeline from HDB as early as possible and ask if any date flexibility is available should your sales encounter delays. The smoother your process, the more options you have, and the fewer things you leave to chance, the better your move will be. Let's talk about transformation, because this isn't about paperwork and dates. This is about you taking control of one of the most significant transitions in your life. Moving homes isn't just a logistical process, it's emotional. It impacts your routines, your family, your finances, and your mental clarity. When you handle it poorly, everything feels rushed, there's stress, tension, and unnecessary compromise. But when you handle it right, there's calm, clarity, and most important, there's confidence. You get to move into a new space without the emotional and financial drag of renting in between. You start your next chapter with stability and not survival mode. That's the power of understanding this strategy. So here's what you should do next. If you are in the planning stages of an HDB move, whether you are upgrading to a larger flat, relocating for convenience, or collecting keys for a brand new BTO, the most important thing is to act early. Don't wait until your option to purchase is about to expire. Don't assume everything will fall into place last minute, because in the world of HDB timelines, the earlier you move, the more options you have. I want to help you make this even easier. If you are looking to move from your HDB and you want to secure the best price and buy at a fair price, I have a free guide that could help you. Click the link in the description box and I will share with you. Before we wrap up, I want to share a bonus insight for those of you helping elderly parents transition to a new flat, or if you are managing a move with young kids. Your situation might feel more complex, but the principles are the same. If you're helping your parents move from an older flat into something smaller and more manageable, timeline clarity becomes even more important. Elderly folks are more sensitive to disruption, and multiple moves can be very taxing for them. In these cases, it's often worth negotiating for a longer temporary extension, perhaps the full 3 months, and using that window to plan their move in stages. Take slowly, hire patient movers, and prepare the new flat with everything set up before the actual move. For parents with young children, timing becomes even more critical. You want to align your move with school's holidays if possible, and minimize the impact on routines. That's why smooth transitions aren't just about money, they are about mental wellness. And that brings us back to the core message of this video. You can move from one HDB to another without ever needing to rent in between. It's not magic, it's strategy. It's knowing the tools available to you, the Contra Facility, the temporary extension of stays, timeline coordination, and using them in the right order and with the right people guiding you. And let's recap what we have covered today. First, we define the problem. Selling and buying an HDB without a rental gap feels nearly impossible for many, but it isn't. Then we discuss why it matters, the cost, the stress, and the disruptions, and it all adds up unless you take charge of your move. We dove into the solutions, 3 essential strategies. the Contra Facilities, temporary extension of stays, and timeline alignment. We cover the importance of early planning, proper communication with buyers and sellers, and how to avoid the common traps that derail homeowners. If you learned something from this video, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next one. But if you are looking to move from a HDB and you want to secure the best price and buy at a fair price, I have a free guide that could help you. Click the link in the description and I will share it with you.